They need us to invest in early childhood education to close the achievement gap and make sure every child is prepared when they start school. Invest in early childhood education to close the achievement gap. If we can get our young people, too many of our children are already behind when they start school. And they need to be prepared so that when they walk in, they're not catching up, but they're able to move forward.
Dan Lips, early childhood ed and more spending on early childhood ed is something with strong support among politicians, among education activists. Do you buy it?
I think that when you look at the track record of programs like Head Start, which since the 1960s has tried to address the problem of school readiness, there simply isn't evidence that this provides a lasting benefit to the children who are served by the program. There was recently an evaluation, a national evaluation by the federal government that found that there was very little lasting benefit for the children who are served by Head Start when you look to by the time they're third or fourth grade. And unfortunately, the way that these programs are working today, they haven't proven effective in really closing the achievement gap or getting children prepared to enter the classroom and ready to learn.
What would you want to see instead?
I think that we should allow states to have greater flexibility over how their Head Start programs run. Many states are doing some exciting things in early childhood education. States like Florida, for example, offer families the ability to choose the provider of choice. Today we spend about $7,500 on each child in Head Start. Give parents some control over how that money's spent.
You know, when you talk to educators who teach kindergarten 1, 2, 3, and say, well, what do you want a kid coming through the front door for the first time to have? And they'll give you basics. I want them to know their numbers, the alphabet, colors, what it means to come in on time and be with other kids and all of that. Doesn't Head Start give you those school readiness basics?
It really doesn't, and I wish it were doing that. But when you look at recent, as I mentioned, there's a recent government evaluation, and they found that children who had gone through Head Start picked up a few letter recognitions compared to children who did not receive Head Start. And we've seen this achievement gap persisting for generations, and Head Start certainly hasn't solved the problem going back to the 1960s.
Lily Eskelsen, how do you respond?
Oh, thank you. Because we couldn't disagree more on this, and we could probably play dueling studies on this, because there are other studies that show that it has made a difference. I started right out of high school. It was one of my first jobs. I was a teacher's aide in a Head Start program. And I think if you're actually there on the ground and you're seeing kids as they came into the program and how they are when they leave the program and go into a kindergarten, and you see the progress they made. I don't care what someone did on some study that said, let's give them all a standardized test and we'll be able to say something from that. I'm not a real believer that standardized testing tells you everything that you need to know about a child's readiness for school or a child's academic achievement. And that's usually what these are focused on, simple standardized tests. My kids learned a lot, and those parents were so grateful that part of our program was working with the parents, many of whom had different levels of education. Some of these parents had very little education themselves, and they were hungry to work with the teachers and the teachers' assistants in help me help my child. It was so much more than would ever fit on a test score. So I know that early childhood education works, and you see it across the spectrum politically as well. This is something that, thank goodness, is not a partisan issue. You saw as many Republicans as Democrats say it's only common sense that tells you when you have children that have such different backgrounds as 2, 3, 4-year-olds, that if we can help those kids who need some kind of head start get prepared for kindergarten, it will help close those achievement gaps. Common sense tells us that on both sides of the aisle.